up, guys? Welcome back to SoberTube. There's been some news recently about OxyContin and the makers of it, and I thought it'd be an important time to share a video. So the news today is OxyContin maker to plead guilty to federal criminal charges and pay $8 billion and will close the company. Wow, it is a little late for anybody to feel that that is justice. What's the value of one life? Is the $8 billion really going to do anything? Is that not the equivalent of giving a pharmaceutical company a speeding ticket? Can they sleep at night now after what they did? First of all, OxyContin was a controlled substance. If it was a controlled substance, how did OxyContin flood the streets and become so readily, ridiculously available to every single person that had an addiction issue? And did they not realize what OxyContin did to hundreds of thousands of people and possibly millions? I'll tell you how OxyContin affected my life. I was always into pills. I was always into Vicodins and Percocets and Xanax. This is the interesting fact about my use and what it turned into. I was always able to keep functioning and stay successful. A successful user, a functional user. They say that there's functional alcoholics. It's somebody that drinks after work, parties on the weekends. So I was a hard drug user. I used drugs to have fun, but still was able to function. When I was introduced to OxyContin, my addiction went from functional to completely dysfunctional. It's the first time I ever ended up with a physical addiction, an addiction that where if I didn't use oxys, I was sick and got flu symptoms. And what do we do when we get sick? We'll do whatever it is to get better. So my OxyContin addiction is what flipped my life from functional to completely dysfunctional. From I was partying hard to I was completely wrecked. To where my life was fun with problems to my life was a giant problem. Why was it so easy to get them? And then down the road, when I couldn't find them, I had an option. I either stayed sick in a bed for a week, or I would use something of the equivalent to get myself better. So years later, you guys are going to pay a little penalty fee for all the lives that have been greatly affected. I was homeless because of what my addiction did to me. Now, I'm not saying that my entire drug problem was oxys, but there are some people whose drug problems are because they were given oxys and they were given too many and they weren't paid attention to and it was mismanaged. And once again, if this is a controlled substance, why was it so ridiculously readily available to anyone that was looking for it? So my oxy problem turned into a heroin problem because that's how I got myself to not be sick, and it ends in homelessness, getting arrested, jails, institutions, and some people died. Oh my. Hundreds of thousands of overdoses, hundreds of thousands of people addicted to heroin that started off with oxys. Your average kid who would get their tooth pulled and mess around with their Vicodins was now doing a drug that was never intended for the average Joe to get their hands on it. Oxys, to the makers, you are disgusting, horrible humans. Not for coming out with the drug, but for mismanaging it, for letting it be free on the streets and everywhere, for not being in control of your inventory. I never understood how a controlled substances inventory was never controlled correctly. There's no justice in the $800 billion that you guys have to pay, because that is a dollar to a person like me. It is just not justice for all the people who whose lives were taken or destroyed, and all the family members that had to suffer through the addiction of a loved one. You have got to be kidding me if you think that this is justice. And now I see it going on with other drugs, fentanyl. I see it going on with Ritalin, with Adderall being given to every single person that walks into a doctor's office. Like, do you realize what these drugs will do to people? Do you think that checking up on somebody once a month that you gave this medicine to, you're really going to understand how much their lives are changed by these medicines? It is completely and utterly repulsive the way medicine is given out. And it makes the doctors that actually do want to help people terrified to give drugs to people that need it. So get it together, guys. This isn't justice. OxyContin is a ridiculously dangerous drug that was given to way too many people too easily and too easy to buy in the street. And all it does is lead to heroin addiction. And it's repulsive and disgusting. And Yeah, it's not justice. I mean, you could throw it in the newspaper as much as you want, guys. They got a deal, and the deal's pretty good to them. They will someday have to be judged by somebody greater than themselves. So, guys, thanks for coming to SoberTube. I'm a blessed recovered addict. I'm glad that my addiction is now 10.5 years behind me. But I always wonder what would have happened if I was never introduced to that pill. My name's Brian. Thanks for coming, guys. Subscribe, like, get involved in your recovery. I'll see you guys in the next episode.